Blue Lock continues to be absolutely insane, as in this chapter, we see Nagi talking a bit with Kira before Kira declares his hatred for Isagi in front of Nagi. On top of that, the first stage starts, and we see Nagi getting fired up. Alright, starting off this chapter, also called The Birdcage Part 2, we see Haneru looking shocked towards Nagi, and doesn't even recognize him as he just says that someone beat them here. Meanwhile, Kira looks like he has just seen a ghost as he looks at Nagi, asking if Nagi is truly here, as he then thinks back to Nagi's insane 5-stage volley. This also confirms that Kira watched the Neo-Egoist League and got to see how truly menacing Isagi has been. Anyway, as Kira says Nagi's name, that's when Haneru recognizes him and says that it's the guy that dropped out right at the end. After that, we see a side character being ecstatic over seeing Nagi. Meanwhile, Shiego asks what is really going on here, as he probably just sees all of them as side characters, even Nagi. But that's when someone points to the TV, where it tells them to change into their bodysuits and to stand by. After that, we see Haneru putting it on and saying that there are 13 of them, and he also says, "Roger that." And that seems to be like his slogan, as Onazi had his "I'm here" thing. Anyway, we then see all of the characters in the mix. In them, we spot Nishioka, so we know that he is with them. After that, we don't spot anyone too important outside of Shiego. We then go over to Kira, who has just put on his bodysuit, and he turns over to look at Nagi and asks him what he is doing here. It then gets dark behind Nagi as he looks back at Kira and tells him that he is pretty rude, asking if he is always this blunt when he meets someone. Kira, a bit half-hearted, apologizes, but explains that he wants to get the information he gained fighting Isagi. Nagi gets super caught off guard by that, as he asks Kira if he hates Isagi or something. Kira firstly says that he hates him, but then he adds on even more spice as he looks manic, as he says that he despises him like crazy, and honestly kinda dope, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, after that, it's when the ugly gremlin comes onto the screen with a huge smile on himself, as he then welcomes them and calls them genius. He asks them if they are all ready, explaining that Side B's first stage is the birdcage. After that, we see a quick panel of Nishioka, which is just feeding my delusions for a Nishioka comeback even more. We then get back to the gremlin, who says that the rules are simple. One of them will be selected to choose a partner, those two become the birds, and the other 11 become the cage. They form a circle, and the game begins. The 11 cage players pass the ball while trying to keep it away from the 2 birds. If the birds steal the ball, then they win, explaining that the time limit is 136 seconds. Basically, this is just like a regular football rondo, which you guys probably know if you have played football before. Anyway, Buratsuta continues and says that if the 2 succeed, they move on to the next stage. If they fail, they go back to the cage. Then a new bird is chosen and the game restarts. However, only the first 3 pairs will get through. In other words, 6 of the 13 will survive. With that out of the way, he tells his little geniuses that the birds are chosen in entry order, so the bird will be Nagi. With that said, we see Nagi starting to stretch, and he already has his intense aura starting to emanate from his body. He says that he sees, and that he hasn't felt this feeling in a while. Hey, it's Natsu, mid-editing here, and I just wanted to pause the video to ask you to subscribe if you haven't already, and while you're already down there, why not leave a like as well? After that, he tells Kira that he will pick him, also calling him an Isagi hater king. Now he says that he chose him because, just like Kira, Nagi also has to crush Isagi and Blue Lock like crazy, and he says that with burning eyes. With that, the ball falls down, and we see Haneru from the side, who starts to smirk as he says, "Roger." After that, we get to the U20 Japan team post-game locker room, where we see Isagi changing, when suddenly someone calls out for him, and it's none other than Ego, who asks him if they could have a little chat, which is just crazy. Anyway, the next chapter will be called God, and there will be no break next week, so it will continue, just like regularly, which is great because if they left us on this cliffhanger, then I wouldn't know what I would do. However, with that said, there is so much that we have to go over, even though this chapter was pretty short, but there is so much I want to delve into. I guess that a good start to talk about this would be Nagi and Kira's team up. Now this was super obvious, that Nagi would pick Kira as it was him or Haneru, but Kira was the clear pick which we all knew. And with that said, we now have a Destroy Isagi duo, which is kinda sick. I remember seeing a lot of people having hopes that Nagi agreed to crushing Blue Lock and Isagi, just like a lie for himself to get into the Side B project. However, with the contract and everything, it just doesn't work to say that you are going to destroy Blue Lock, and when you are accepted, then suddenly change themselves. Everyone who comes out of Side B except of Sei, their primary goal will be to crush Blue Lock, as that was what the deal with Buratsuta was about. And honestly, Nagi really embodying that makes the story so much more interesting. Because let's be honest, would it really be fun if he came back to the U20 World Cup and suddenly was just buddy-buddy with everyone there? No, not really, as that would be so boring. But now with Nagi really embodying this whole crush blue lock and Isagi concept, it makes his character a lot more interesting. But that's far from the most important thing with his new resolution. Because the most important thing is that he has finally become like everyone else in Blue Lock, who has their sole determination set on crushing Isagi. Take Baru and Rin for example. They were outstanding players before, but once they set their sights on crushing Isagi, they evolved like crazy as they were determined to beat him. This also happened to Nagi, however, in the Neo Egoist League, as he only managed to score his insane goal because of his resolution to crushing Isagi. But for some reason, after that goal, he felt like he had already destroyed him, which is the wrong approach. As once again, let's take Baru. Baru scored goals on bastard Munchen, but still he never said that he defeated Isagi because, well, he just didn't, as they lost the match. As you might hear, I'm the king of ranting. So this got a bit sidetracked, but what I want to get out of this is that with Nagi's new resolve, and if he keeps it up, then he truly has the chance to go far. Who cares if his goal is to crush Blue Lock and Isagi, as it's not like the overall story is about partnership or camaraderie from the beginning, as it's instead about you as an individual, not you as a team. And now that Nagi has found Kira, they might become the unstoppable Isagi crushing duo, which I would be so down to see. And I'm super glad to see Nagi really embodying this whole thing. But let's get back to the story. And let's talk more about the birdcage. Now Buratsuta explained that there will be 6 players who gets to advance from here, and I think that the first 5 is kinda obvious. Firstly, it's of course Nagi, who, there is no world where he doesn't get through. After him it's Kira, who now has been chosen by Nagi, and as Nagi will go through, Kira will then also automatically get through. Next it's Hanaru, who obviously also will get through, as he has gotten too much screen time for him to get dropped right off the start. After him, I think that Nishioka is also pretty safe. Now this isn't just because for some reason I am obsessed with him, but instead because he is a previous character who even made it to the Neo Egoist League, and there will be no point in putting him in Nagi's team to then throw him away straight away. That doesn't make sense at all. After that, I would also say that Shiego is pretty safe as well, because I'm pretty sure that the author has seen how much of a meme he has become and wants to keep him in for meme purposes and just being a fun character. After that, it doesn't really matter any of the other side characters can make it, as they won't be that important anyway. However, one interesting thing that Buratsuta said was that they were going in the chosen entry order. This means that Nagi and Kira starts as they are the first team, and they will most likely clear it at the first try as they have Nagi. After that, Haneru should be next up, as Nagi was first, but him and Kira was second. And since Kira has already been chosen, it should be Haneru next up, which will be super cool to see what he can do and what his powers and abilities will be. Or if we will even see them this early on, as I also believe that he will be able to clear it pretty fast. Anyway, with that out of the way, I'm pretty sure that we can move on to Isagi and Ego now. And in my leak video, I already said what I think will go down, but I actually strongly believe that this will be the time where we finally get to know more about Ego's backstory. I think that with Isagi's last goal, it was something that Ego couldn't predict, as we saw how shocked he was by it. But deep down, I think that Ego was just like this version of Isagi before, as we know that Ego was a super good player, and even a rival to Noel Noah. And I think that Ego might be scared that what happened to himself might happen to Isagi, and I think that Ego will come and tell him that, and dive more into what made him quit soccer. As I don't really think that Ego will be mad at Isagi for kinda talking shit about him, as come on, this is Ego. He won't care about something as petty as that. But please let me know what they are going to talk about, and also what you would overall rate this chapter. I will have to go with like a 6, as it was pretty decent. Anyway, if you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video, which will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye.